Welcome to the Mom Owned and Operated podcast, the podcast about moms and for moms, where we have candid conversations about running a business, raising a family, and remembering ourselves. I'm your host, Rita Suzanne, a single mom of four, digital strategist, and provider of no-nonsense business strategies and tactics. Hi, this is Rita Suzanne, and this is Mom Owned and Operated. Today, I have my friend Christi with me. Christi, please tell us all about you, your business, your family, all of the things.
Yeah, I'm Christi Cooper. I'm a mom of two young girls, currently 7 and 3. And I am the CEO, owner, designer, all of the hats over at Cooper and Hart Creative, where I work with online coaches and service providers to help them create beautiful websites, sales pages, and all of those things.
And what do you use to make all of the things? Are you like a WordPress person, Squarespace? Like what is your thing of choice?
So I actually work in a couple platforms. I work on WordPress with Elementor, and I do a lot of work in Kajabi.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
okay. So before you started doing design, what were you doing?
I was doing design. I have been doing design since I was 17. So it was my first job, and it's been every job since then until I started my own business. So yeah, I went to design school and got a bachelor's degree and worked at a design agency for a while, lived the agency kind of life. And I got burnt out. And and then I had my kids and I needed something else.
Yeah. So, I mean, how was the transition from going from working at an agency into starting your own business?
It was slow because I'm pretty risk averse and I'm the main income earner for my family. So it was like my job had the highest salary. So that was paying all of our bills. My first daughter was young, but I was just so burnt out. So I started doing freelance work on the side, design work on the side. And because I didn't want to have a conflict with my agency, I really kind of went into the online world. And so then I kind of naturally progressed to serving online businesses that way. So I didn't have to I'm also an introvert. So I was like, I don't want to go to networking events locally. I don't want to go out and talk to people. How intimidating. So I spent 2 years on this doing a side hustle to my main day job with a baby toddler. And
that had to be a lot to juggle, especially, and I can see that there would be a lot of pressure being the main, breadwinner and the provider. I mean, obviously, like I'm a single mom, so I completely get it. Although, you're not single, but, having to bring in all the income by yourself has to be a lot of pressure, but you have your husband there to help you with the kids and stuff. So that's definitely a bonus, right?
It's a bonus. Yes, it's definitely a bonus. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely was a lot of pressure, especially in the beginning. And that was a lot of pressure to put on my new business because when I went full time, I just had my second daughter, so I had a newborn and then I was like, well, it's full-time business time. I got to make some money.
Yeah, definitely. So. I mean, in addition to the pressure, they're a good motivator, right? So
yeah, it was pressure and kind of like, well, we're going to sink or swim. So, I just kept going.
And you are swimming, you are doing great. So, let me ask you, how did you get into like websites and sales pages in particular, since you were starting out as more of like, were you doing print design initially and then you transitioned over to websites, or how did that go?
Yeah, so I did a lot of website design at the agency. You did design and then you sent it off to the developers and they would like code it, right? So I did do website design as far as the actual design part. I just didn't build them. So I kind of learned those skills myself. Like I taught myself WordPress and I took some trainings, and then I started getting into some marketing trainings online. And then like that really, really helped really understanding like how websites could be more effective, how sales pages work, how do sales funnels work, like all of that stuff really, I just learned a lot of it. I just absorbed it. And then started applying it to client projects. So yeah.
I think that's one of the most important things for us as designers to really understand, especially online marketing is so important, right? Your website and your sales page are tools to help with your marketing. And what would you say is like your biggest obstacle when dealing with clients and things like that?
My biggest obstacle.
I mean, it could be in relation to working at home with your children and, you know, trying to serve clients and take care of yourself as well.
Yeah, it's probably time management. And I've really been working on that lately. Like I used to work nights and weekends to try to make up time that I thought I needed to do for business work. And then I had to stop because I was getting so tired and I was like, I'm going to burn myself out again. Like, I don't need to do that. And so I stopped working weekends. I stopped working nights. Like now I can't imagine like going back to work after dinner. Like that sounds terrible. But I did it for years. So yeah, it's been, I would say the biggest obstacles when I was in the early stages of my full-time business was definitely just managing the kids and work time and like client calls and like all of that. Like, and then it eventually got to the point where it was actually the pandemic. The pandemic hit and my husband just had a part-time job, which was helping with the bills. But at that point it was an hourly wage. So if he couldn't go into work, so he wasn't making any money. And so we were just like, well, we're just going to let you quit your job and then I'm going to support us full time. And then you can watch the kids more. And then I can have work hour time. And that was a big difference. And I know everyone can't do that. Right. So I feel very lucky that I was able to do that, but it definitely helped. But before that, like, I definitely understand the juggling act of like
doing all the things.
kids, little kids, they need your attention so much. Like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I completely understand because, you know, trying to do all the things like time management, I think one of the biggest struggles or obstacles that people have when running their business is setting boundaries, especially in the beginning, right? You want to make all of your clients happy. And so therefore you as a service provider will burn yourself out, work nonstop in order to try to make everyone happy. And, you know, I felt it where I was literally rolling out of bed and not showering, not taking care of myself. My kids were 3 and 5, I think, when I started, or maybe 4 and 6 when I first started. So they were really little. And I was just like rolling out of bed. I just am like, I need to prove to everyone that I can do this thing. Right. So I had so much pressure because I had quit my job and moved across the country. And I'm like, I have to show everyone that I can do this, you know? So one of the first things that I did though, was take my email off of my phone. And that was like my number one boundary that I had because I was so reactive. If I woke up and I looked at my phone and I saw something that a client needed, I would drop everything for whatever they needed. And it didn't matter what it was. Like, I have to help them right now. Like, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I had the same impulse. And I did the same thing. I took my work email off my phone. First, I turned off notifications. Then I took it out of my Gmail. And then like now, like, okay, like check my work email during work time and
Mhm.
not during and I had that training, like that impulse to people please was also
Right.
kind of left over from my agency days where they would
Peer pressure
they
you
would
into,
walk
yeah,
over to your desk in 5 minutes after they sent you an email and say, hey, have you seen that email?
did you
So
get
it
it?
just
Yeah.
kind of trained you to always be in your inbox, which was
Mhm.
not healthy for getting work done.
Yes, exactly. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the same way. I still keep mine open, but I don't look at it, and I try to only really respond a couple of times during the day. But I, like you, don't work on the weekends, and I cannot imagine where before I was working every single day. And then all of a sudden on a Tuesday in the middle of the day, I'm like crashing and burning for like 3 days. Like I don't want to see, talk, do nothing, you know?
Yes. Yeah. It's so true. Like we have to give ourselves time off. Like you have to give your brain a rest, your body a rest. Like
Mhm.
you have to step away. You can't just work all the time.
Well, especially when you're trying to do something creative, because I would find myself being blocked creatively, not being able to really serve them because I was so stressed and overwhelmed that it couldn't, like, so you have to give yourself a break. But, speaking of like self-care and all of the things, one thing that I love to talk about and focus on is, our businesses are so important, and so are our families and our kids. And I find that a lot of women, once we have kids, then we kind of put ourselves a little bit to the back burner. Now, if you add a business into that, then we also go again to the back burner even further. So I like to add. Hi, it's Rita. Sorry to interrupt this episode. I wanted to just briefly jump in and talk about today's sponsor, which is just a little bit more email chat. So I want to talk about my favorite email provider that I use and that I recommend to all of my clients, and that is Google Workspace or Google Suite. I think they've changed the name again. So what I love about G Suite or Workplace, whatever, is that I'm able to manage my email, multiple email addresses, multiple domains inside of one email inbox that looks just like the Gmail that you are already familiar with. So if you are looking for a professional email that you can manage from anywhere, along with access to your own business Google Drive folder platform, all of that stuff, then you definitely need to check out G Suite. I know that a lot of hosting companies do offer business emails, but using Google Workspace, it definitely makes things so much easier. That way, if something happens with your website, your email is still intact. It's still there. It's still, everything is still good. Your calendars are connected. You can add tasks. You can add everything else in order to keep yourself organized and keep those boundaries set in place. So if you do decide to check it out, you can get 2 weeks free by using my link. It's ritasuzanne.com/G Suite, and that's GSUITE. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you do sign up and you love it, or if you hate it, please let me know. I would love to hear how it's working out for you. Now we're going to get back to the interview with Christi. Ask moms, how are you able to still remember yourself?
Yeah. So I've been working on this and I've committed to where I always do yoga every morning. So, and it's not long, it's not like an hour class. It's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of yoga, just off an app on my phone. And I do that every morning. And then I also try to get a walk in. It depends on the weather, but
yeah. Because where are you located?
Oklahoma. So kind of, it's cold, it's warm, it's cold, it's warm.
Right. I get it. I'm in Ohio too. But I think the yoga is good anyways, because we sit so long, or, we're sedentary for so long, especially, behind our desks and stuff. So any type of stretching is good. And, like, I love that you have your own office. You go in there, you close the door, and
Mhm.
you are working and doing your things. So one of the things that we talked about before we jumped on this was how you hit your second 6-year year. And
Yeah.
so tell us more, like what is the thing that helped you reach that goal and those milestones?
Yeah. So yeah, 2 years in a row, 6 figures. So working on my mindset helps. So I did hire a coach. I know coaches aren't for everyone, but it really worked well for me. And if you find the right fit, I think it does work for you. So mindset made a big difference, just being more confident, being more consistent, really just believing in myself. And it's always the struggle, right? And that I think combined with doing the VIP design days, which I know you've done, or you've kind of shifted yours. We were talking about that. The just simplifying how I offered my design services just made it easier to sell.
Right.
So.
Right. And the benefit to the design days or intensives, however, whatever we call them, is that, the client gets to see the work right now instead of in 6 weeks or in 3 months, however many months it takes, because what have you found to be the biggest benefit of switching to the day rate model? Like for the clients, what have they shared is like why they get so excited about it?
They just really like that it's a streamlined process, and like they know their timeline and like what they have to commit to beforehand, and it's not a lot of back and forth. It's not drawn out. And it's really exciting on that day when they get to see like the transformation. They just really love it. It's so fun.
And I love when you tell somebody that, oh, it's, X amount of dollars for the day. And they're just like, what? Like, but they don't realize the amount of pre-work that goes into it, the strategy sessions, all of these other things that happen before the actual day. Like, I think that always, people are like, wow, like that's more than that's more than my attorney charges. And I'm just like, well, it's not all one day, it's spread out. You just actually get the work on the one day.
Right. Yeah. We do a lot of prep work beforehand. And I do, some mental planning and work, and I make sure that I'm prepared for that day of actual creation and implementation. So, and it's also part of the value of what you're getting out of that day. Like, does it matter if it takes me a day or 2 days?
Right.
Like, if I told you it took me 2 weeks for the same price, for the same result,
would they feel more valuable then?
Does it matter?
Right. It's like that old thing that people say, like, I shouldn't get penalized because I work quickly. It should be a value add versus a penalty. So I completely agree with that. So if a mom came to you and she was thinking about starting her own business, what would be your advice to her?
I would say go for it. You can do it. I believe in you. Everyone can do it. There's so many opportunities now for moms working at home. Like, you don't have to go and sell like the MLM kind of stuff if you don't want to. Like, you can do whatever it is that you feel inclined to do. And I would also be prepared to kind of explore your mindset stuff, because that stuff comes up when you're running a business so much more than just regular life. So, yeah.
Oh, 100%. My favorite thing to tell people is that if you have any issues and start a business, and guess what? They're all going to come up. They're all going to come out, and you can either deal with them or you're probably going to have to go back to getting a job, So
yes, so true. Like all of the self-doubt, all of that, stuff that you're afraid of, like all of that comes up in business. And it's not something you expect when you're first, like, I didn't expect that when I didn't like, oh, starting a business, I'm gonna have to work on my mindset. What is that?
Right. Right.
I don't even know if I really heard the term mindset
I
before
didn't either.
getting
I
into
didn't either.
business. So
And especially in our industry, I remember the first coach that I worked with, and she told me, you need to work on your mindset. And I was thinking, like, what is that? What do you mean?
yes, it took a while. Like I kind of eased into it, started learning a little more about it. So it takes a little bit of time to kind of wrap your head around it. But it really has made a difference because all of the internal stuff in your brain comes up so much.
Yeah. And it helps, I think it helps you move forward and progress. And so going forward, what are your plans? Like, do you have any other plans to like scale your business from here and go like, I don't know, like even more 6-figure years, 7 figures? Like what
yeah. So I'm an ambitious person. And I also think, why not? Like if I can make 6 figures, I can make 7. So I am working towards building $1 million company. It's a lot of changing and shifting and scaling, but yeah, I'm excited about it. So right now I did start a template shop, which is for the same people that I serve with my custom work, but just people who are in earlier stages who can't afford custom design, right?
Right.
So currently I offer a starter site, website, template kits for WordPress and Elementor, and then I'll start offering sales pages and a few other things like that. But yeah, and then I also want to hire a designer this year to kind of help me manage some of the kind of easier VIP days that I do. And I also want to offer template implementation, so kind of an in-between offer between VIP days and just DIY templates. So people who need a little more help but can't quite do the custom work. So
yeah, I love all of that. Okay, Christi, so where can everyone find you online? Where are you hanging out?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Cooper and Hart, or you could go to my website, cooperandhart.com, or my template site is ihearttemplates.com.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it. All right, Christi, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rita.
And there you have it. I want to encourage you to remember that being a mom who runs her own business is not easy. We all struggle, but just keep moving forward and don't forget to make time for yourself. As moms, we are usually the first thing to go to the bottom of the list. If your business is overwhelming you and you need real solutions, not just some sugar-coated suggestions, apply to work with me at ritasuzanne.com/apply.